It's June 24th, 2025, and this is a special city council meeting here at the chambers in City Hall. We do have quorum with Councilman Mario Garcia, Councilman Elias Diaz, Councilwoman Jessica Ramon, and myself, Aaron Valdez. Can we please have a moment of reverence for our military? And I don't know if anyone in council wants to entertain another reverence.
I know that we had a death of a young community member in our in our community, and so I would like to hold a moment of reverence for that person as well.
Okay. Citizens communication.
There was none submitted, Mayor.
Okay. Now we have our mayor's consent agenda announcements. We have 3 items. Do we want to review any of those? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Garcia. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Jessica Ramon. Any discussions? All those in favor? Unanimous decision. Okay. We have our item number 4, resolutions. Consideration and possible approval of a resolution directing the city manager to implement transparency measures in city government.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thank you for that. Before we open this up for a motion by council, we would like to go ahead and just present some information. Our directors worked on this yesterday and today to try to, I guess, set the foundation on where we can take these resolutions based on some of the history of what we've done to try to be, in this particular resolution, to establish transparency in our government process. So at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Felix Castillo to please present us a little bit of what we can expect, what we have in place, and what we can expect moving into the future.
Mayor and Council, good evening. We appreciate the guidance in regards to the public transparency. So last year during the budget, we acquired a software. The name of it is ClearGov. The software's purpose is for us to prepare the budget and thinking about transparency to make it available to the public so they'll be able to see the numbers, they'll be able to see all the funds, they'll be able to see all the departments, how expenditures are allocated, what are the revenue sources. And what I like about this software is that the ability for all of the citizens to be able to interact with the software as well. So just on the screenshot, one of the things that it does, it gives you a little bit of the demographics of the population. The software is pulling the information directly for the Census Bureau, so those numbers are accurate. And the other thing is, once we have the budget in place and it's been adopted, citizens will also be able to go and compare the revenues versus the expenses. So again, this is just a work in progress. It's not totally completed, but it's close to be completed. It will give you revenues and expenses, but also it's going to give you a historical values of the previous years. You know, we can go as far as we want. Right now, just for illustration purposes, we're going back to fiscal year 2021. That little block that I'm showing some numbers, what that means is if you click in a specific year, it's going to give you the values. So it's very good information for the citizens. One more thing that we have in this module is that citizens will be able to join the conversation. So there is a space for comments. If anybody has any questions, they have any comments on anything, they'll be able to submit that information. And at this point, we are setting up our city secretary to receive all of these comments, and then she will be able to manage them and take them to where they need to go. Unless we have direction from you or administration, that can always be changed. And also the other thing that I want to point out to you is we can go also by funds, and we can also go to have projects where the citizens can also put comments, but we can also inform them of each project that is being completed or those that are in progress. It will give us a map of the location, but it's also, we can put pictures, we can put cost, all the procurement processes can be uploaded. I think this is a very robust program that will be available to the citizens very soon.
Okay.
I'm open for any questions.
Mr. Castillo, when will we have this go live?
So the first thing is gonna be, we're probably gonna have to go through the workshops with city council, get the budget going, get to a point that it can become a proposed budget, and then at that moment, it can go live. Unless I get direction from anyone to make it live now, but those numbers are not complete yet.
So the goal is to do this for FY 2026?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, as you also know, that Mr. Felix, thank you for that, sir. Appreciate
sir.
that presentation.
sir.
I don't know if there's any questions in regards to that?
I do have a question for Mr. Felix. I noticed that the part that includes community input, it's an open text box, which I think there's pros and cons to that, right? But part of it, I'm wondering what will be the process to collect that data, right? And is there going to be follow-up, and what that follow-up might look like? For purposes of data synthesization, I'm wondering if it might be easier to include some kind of either a drop-down menu or kind of like break things up into themes, just to be able to track of concerns. And I have another question when it comes to the budget process. Would it, I know that San Antonio, for example, has community-wide budget input workshops. Would it be feasible to roll that out for fiscal year 2026? And what might that look like?
So to answer the first question is, every page, whether it's revenues or expenses, will have a box on the bottom for the people to ask questions related to that particular page or item, block, or paragraph. In my conversation with CDSEC this morning, we were talking just about what do we need to do to make sure that somebody's following up in these comments. So the idea was, that she will be gathering the information and then routed to the department that will be responsible for making sure that we respond to the citizens. What we don't want is collect all this information and then let it sit. But we want to make sure that we follow up, and I think that's a great question, Mr. Elias. And on the question for the projects, that module has a lot of potential. We can, before we start the project, we can put it out there and get input from the citizens. Let's say that we're gonna do a park in XYZ location. We can put it out there and start asking, what do the citizens think? Should we put a playground? Should we do a track for walking? And then based on the input from the citizens, we can then determine what is the best approach.
I think, I know that in the past, at least when it comes to capital improvement plans, I know that there's, obviously my priorities are different, right? But there have been times where I've seen projects on the capital improvement plan be kind of shifted around and sometimes even fallen off the capital improvement plan to be put back on the capital improvement plan. The first time that I inquired about what that process might look like and how, what it looks like currently, I think there's currently input from directors and other key stakeholders that go into that. But I want to take it a step further, specifically, eventually with the budget workshop, but I know that there might be some feasibility issues for fiscal year 2026, but at least for the capital improvement plan, to be able to come to some general consensus with community members on what they want to see first, right? Have people be a little bit more involved in the shaping of the vision of this community. And so I think that, I know that you said that you have that there's a lot of features here that can be implemented. I, for one, would like to see that be one of them, right? Have some community input with the capital improvement plan.
Absolutely, sir. I totally understand where that's coming from. Obviously, like you mentioned, the current procedure that we follow is we do depend on the departments to submit their requests for capital improvement projects that they feel are necessary to their departments to provide service to the community. But I totally agree with maybe opening it up to get public comment just to make sure that our vision aligns with the community's vision as what we want to see our community continue to grow into. So we'll definitely, Mr. Castillo, if we can, let's go ahead and start putting together a plan on how we can involve the community to provide input on this capital improvement plan project list.
And just to clarify, so I think the projects that get put on the on the capital improvement plan, they're good projects. Like, they're things that I think so far I haven't seen anything on the capital improvement plan that I think, oh, it shouldn't be there, right? But the process by which we assign value to it, right? Like, I know that I've had questions about that, and there's certain measures that measure, for example, public safety, or like the impact that it will do for public good. But I think if we're getting only the perspective of professionals, either that are professionals that work within the city, I think there might be a little bit of disconnect there between somebody that stands to be impacted by this, that is maybe in the lower income threshold of our citizens, different types of people, right? And so I'd like to maybe get the opportunity to hear input from community members on what they feel like we should prioritize, which could eventually guide our funding strategy, the way that we go about seeking for grants and in which order, right? So I think that's it's not so much that I think it would be good to get feedback from community, like ideas, but that's not when you think about shovel-ready projects start to finish. That's probably not a feasible way to go about it, right? Because we're going to get 10, 12,
Yes.
15, 30 ideas, but if we can't reach consensus on which ideas can actually be feasible, we're going to be back to square one.
Absolutely.
I think what I'd like to see is get feedback on our existing or upcoming capital improvement projects and understand from community members which one of these projects do you want to focus on first? Which project do you think merits the most amount of the city effort to make sure that this happens?
Absolutely, sir. Understood. We got you.
We will follow up on that, and, under the guidance of administration, we'll continue to develop these software. Yes, sir.
Excellent. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Castillo.
So now Ms. Aide Castaño will touch a bit on Section 2, public review period and media oversight. I think she's going to focus more on media oversight right now.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council Administration. I'm here to propose to initiate a comprehensive review of city media contracts and expenditures. We want a little backstory. All ads go through the marketing department. Any department that needs to post something, economic development, bridge, it's controlled under the marketing department, just to make sure that it's approved, that we haven't done it. Another department is not putting out what we're putting out, and so everything goes through us. So all the budget that I get is to help all the other departments, mayor and city councils, all as well. So what I'm requesting is authorization to begin a full review of the city media-related contracts and spending. Why is this review timely and necessary? To emphasize the need for fiscal responsibility in all public communication spending. Goals of the review: evaluate cost effectiveness, ensuring fairness, our contracts being awarded through an open and competitive process, strengthen our oversight, create a strategic communication goal. So for example, I propose that, in talking to finance and administration, that we give communication for holidays, special occasions, for special projects and opportunities, not as off, only when needed, in a need basis, where right now it's being done a little bit more consecutively. So have a little bit more control and kind of agree on what we think we need to be giving out throughout the year to local media. What the review would entail: work with finance to put out a request for proposals for all local media interested in working with the city. Information that we would request would be require newspapers to advise of cost for their services based on size, half a page, a quarter page, a full page, and how many times they print on a weekend, and how many newspapers they individually print, and as well as some other services. Some newspapers also have social media pages. For social media, we would need a monthly cost and a number of followers. Radio station, cost and services provided with that fee. Some will allow for interviews, some do spots that they create for us, so we would need those details. Identify potential insufficiencies or redundancies. Comparative analysis with other municipalities and organizations. Recommendation for our budget. So we're working on the marketing budget for advertisement, and so this will help us market budget accordingly for the next fiscal year. Benefits to the city, potential cost savings, improve public trust through transparency and fairness with all our local media, stronger strategic planning for future media and public engagement efforts. What we're requesting is for council to give us approval to initiate this review. We want to allow all the local medias to give us what they offer, all their services, come together with administration and finance, review them, and then maybe together come with, have an average. Because right now they average, each newspaper is very different, and so to be fair to everyone, maybe come together with an average price for a newspaper ad, for a social media post, for a radio station. So it's not, all across the board. So that is something that we are proposing to look into, to be a little bit more efficient in our communications with our local media. And I want to make sure that I say, thank you so much to our local media. They're awesome. They're always showing up. They're always supporting us. They're always pushing all our events and all our projects. But I think there's always ways to kind of, cut costs, and that's something administration and finance wants to do.
Yeah, and I'll just echo that. Thank you for that, Aide. Very, very good presentation, and absolutely, I echo what Ms. Castaño is saying. We do value our local media very much. They really help us put out the messages that we need to put out in the city, whether it's events or important events that are happening within the city. If it's a street closure, they're always there willing to help us get the word out to our community, right? So we do value them. We want to continue to build on the strong relationship that we have, but at the same time, we understand where this is coming for as far as being transparent and being responsible when it comes to utilizing those services.
Any questions? Suggestions?
Very well presented. Thank you, Ms. Castaño.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
So now Ms. Erica will be touching on the public review period and the access to public meetings. Ms. Erica?
Of course. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. As Mr. Valdera stated, I'm going to be touching on Section 3, access to public meetings, to ensure the access to agendas, approved minutes, and video recordings for all city council meetings. So right now, what we do follow the Open Meetings Act, that we are required to post the city council agenda 72 hours before the scheduled time meetings. So those are required by law to be posted on our front bulletin board along with our online website. Right now, we do have it on our website in Agenda tab, where you'll be able to see the full packet listed there for any upcoming agendas, if it's for boards and commissions or for city council. I know in prior meetings, Councilman Diaz said that sometimes it's a little bit hard, to detect it and the formatting. If you guys recalled in previous meetings, you did accept us to go with the design and the upgrade for our website. So we did incorporate the management system for Civic Plus in order to be able to obtain those links directly centralized. So right now, for example, our videos right now are just posted on the City of Eagle Pass YouTube channel, or they're going live on our Facebook page, right? But they're not linked to our website. So having it centralized, it's going to help all our citizens be able to go into our system and look up any agendas, any minutes that were approved, and our videos themselves. So right now, what we're doing, we're going through our training, which this is the way it would look, Civic Plus agendas and meeting management training. And from there, we're training all our staff to be able to insert their items. And then it usually prepares the whole agenda packet for city council meetings or for board meetings and commissions. So we're currently going through that stage because, of course, having this agenda software, it's going to help enhance transparency within the organization by providing a structured platform for planning, organizing, and sharing information related to meetings and events. Okay, so how are we going to get there? The next steps is after training with the software, with the administration internal, we're going to create a public portal that would be utilized in this way, where it's going to be able to show all that area. I don't know if you guys have listed other cities like the city of Laredo. If you go to their city council agendas, you're able to view every section of minutes, video recording, and you can even direct the video to every single item of the agenda. So let's say I'm a citizen and I wanted to look at what happened in agenda item number 8. Instead of seeing the video from start to finish, I can organize it where it says item number 8 starts in this one and tab it. So you're not really wasting your time. You're going straight and directing it to what you're interested in reviewing for the future meetings. So that's what we have going on for our side for the agendas. And we do see the time frame for late August, early September to be able to go live on our portal and be able to be more transparent for our citizens of our community. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. And I'd just like to kind of add that, we are grateful that, Mayor and Council have allowed us to make the investments into some of these softwares that we've acquired. Obviously, the software that Mr. Felix, we did acquire it this year, and we're implementing it going live for FY 2026, as well as city secretary software to be able to become more efficient and more transparent in being able to acquire these requests for public information and being able to go on there and look at the meetings, see what agendas are put on for mayor and council. So it is something that we are grateful. We want to continue to provide that level of transparency, improve it, and that's why we wanted to just showcase what the foundation is, what we currently have, and if there's anything that we can do to improve it, we're all for it. We want to make sure that we have that high level of transparency that mayor and council expect from our operations.
What is the rollout date? I know that you said fiscal year 26, but do we have an is it going to roll out on the first day of the fiscal year, or when?
So we've currently been going through the training for the software system. We're playing it out with all our directors. So I did open the one for the regular meeting in July, so that all the directors can start looking into the software, submitting items, so they can get used to it before we go live. So we want to make sure that every director and staff can go through the process first, and then we can go live. So we're hoping by September we can start going live in our public portal for all our meetings. And there's actually a two-step, which is pretty cool, because we can actually open it up for all you, board members themselves. So it has a cool tab where you can click and you can vote, and it shows that you're voting and how you voted. So we'll have it in the screen, and you voted this way, and it'll show how you guys voted. And it would organize, it'll make our life easier, because it would organize our minutes too. So we don't have to be putting who voted what. It'll automatically read it through the minutes how you guys voted. So it's a pretty cool system, but we want to make sure we understand it to be able to complete it and go at 100%. So hopefully, fingers crossed, by September, we should have it rolling completely.
Good investment.
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I would just like to make a comment that the updated resolution for this one is on your desk.
Okay.
There was a minor change made to section 2, extending the public review and comment period to be done prior to the second reading.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry. There will be a change after September 1st. The legislative session recently changed the posting of public agendas. Instead of 72 hours, it has to be done 3 business days before. So that will also allow the citizens more time to view the agendas.
So in this case, it would switch from I guess, the deadline being Friday
To Wednesday.
to Wednesday. So that would give them an extra 2 days of being able to view and obviously pose any questions that they need to bring before council.
Starting September 1st, September 1st, 2020.
All right. Do I entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilman Mario Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Jessica Ramon. Any discussion?
Just to clarify, is there more staff going to present? Or are we done with this part?
They're preparing for the next
Okay.
resolutions.
Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Go to our item 5, consideration and possible approval of a resolution directing the city manager to address public safety, staffing, and retention.
So, yes, with this item as well, Mayor and Council, we would like to have a presentation from our public safety departments, our fire department and our police department, and our HR, just to provide some historical information on where we are right now as far as our efforts to continue to improve staff retention within these departments, and then open it up to Mayor and Council to see if there's any additional, I guess, processes that we can use to continue to improve it. So at this time, we'll pass it over to our HR Director, Ms. Campos.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So as Mr. Valderas mentioned, this is just kind of to show you where we are right now and to hopefully get some guidance and direction on, where we can see more improvement. Obviously, we know retention has a lot of different components, and it's something that's always should be moving and evolving with our staff. So we're gonna start with the salary. We do get an annual pay step increase on every employee anniversary. So you'll see here 2 highlighted dates. These were the dates that we've received what we would call a COLA, a cost of living adjustment. So October 1st, 2022, we saw this is just, and I'm sorry, we're going back, kind of a look back at like the last 5 years to kind of give you a good idea of where we've been. We saw a 7.5% COLA adjustment for all employees, and with their pay step raise, they saw a 9 to 11% increase that year. And just recently, this May, we saw the 7.112% average increase to all employees with the upgrade to the pay scale. And on here, you can see where our police department and fire departments are with their base pay range, including the premium pay that we'll touch base on in a minute. So that's just showing the ranges these are current as of now. And then on the next slide, we have, you can see the major improvements that we've had when it comes to our police officer and firefighter trainees. These are unlicensed. So these are basically they come in as a student, they're either entering the academy or the fire academy or the police academy, and this is a way for them to, basically their living wages until they become licensed. So you could see we started off before 2022 at $7.25 at the minimum wage, and you can see that there's been vast improvements on that, which have helped a lot with recruitment. So as of today, we're at $18 starting for a police officer trainee and at $17.19 for a firefighter EMT trainee. These are the different types of pays that we offer, different pay types. to our police and fire staff and some of our other employees as well. So the longevity pay is paid to fire protection personnel and police officers, and they do receive up to a total of $1,200 a year. That depends how much time they have in service. It's $4 per month of service. And then we have the premium pay. This one came into effect in 2021 during COVID time, but this was something that the council has over and over approved again to continue. So this is the $2 an hour that they get added to their base pay. And so you'll see for fire, since they work more hours, it's about $5,824 a year. And for a police officer, it's an additional $4,160 a year. And then we have our assignment pay. These are special assignment pays for special duties that are done within the police and fire departments. There's a monthly amount of $238. So this would apply to K-9 officers, our motorcycle officers, and our senior officers, and at the fire department and the fire marshal, the inspectors, and the EMS compliance officer. And you can see that we did increase it this last fiscal year in '24 by 10%. And then we have our certification pay, which is for our EMS. And you'll see the rates there for the fire suppression, those that are working out on the line, and other firefighters, which would mainly be our fire marshal's office and our EMS compliance, and the rates that they receive it at. And again, they got an increase on these rates back in 2024 by 10%. So this is a new one. This is the one that was recently approved a few months ago in November. This is a certification pay dealing with proficiency with our police officer and firefighters. So those that are licensed are now receiving a monthly certificate pay depending on their level, the intermediate at $200, advanced at $400 a month, and masters at $600 a month. And you can see from the chart where we compare to other cities. So it is a very competitive certificate pay that we're offering, and it is a really good retention tool, because this affects mainly those that have more time in service. So since these proficiency certifications require a certain amount of years, it ties in directly to retention and hopefully keeping these officers on board with us and firefighters. We have our retirement benefit that was also recently upgraded in 2023 from 5% to 6%, and meaning that our employer contribution increased from 10 to 12%. So this investment helps improve the path to more secure financial future and a better post-retirement quality of life. And now we get into leave types. We're starting with our vacation leave. So you can see the comparison of what a non-civil service employee might earn and a civil service employee. So a civil service employee will earn 15 days a year up until they get to their 15th year. And at that point, they would be earning 20 days. And now on our sick leave, they are earning 15 days per year. And I just wanted to note that the City Council did vote back in September 2023 to allow, to make those pre-civil service sick leave hours more accessible without having to exhaust the civil service sick leave hours. So they're able to use both banks, those that have them, which would be their pre-civil service and their civil service sick leave banks. And then we have our wellness leave. So this allows employees to use up to 2 days per year, and this is a type of leave that's used for time off for physical, mental, and/or emotional wellness. It's requested by the employee kind of in the same manner as you would request sick leave. So if they, it's at their, at how they want to take it, which differentiates from the mental health leave. The mental health leave is granted in response to a traumatic event that occurred in the scope of a peace officer's, firefighters, or telecommunicators' employment. So this one may be requested for up to 3 days per year, and we also allow for extensions if needed. And a little bit about our staffing, some history here. In the last few years, you can see that their staff has increased. City Council has approved the increase of the following police officers and firefighters. So you'll see for the police department, they've gained an assistant police chief, 3 captains, 5 corporals, and a police officer. And for the fire department, they recently added on a fire lieutenant and 6 firefighter EMTs. So this next slide just shows you the breakdown of those ranks and positions by department, just for your reference. And this is where we're at right now. And I know police and fire are going to touch base on training and some more on career development as well.
If we can, just thank you for that, Ms. Campos. Very well presented. Again, we are very grateful to Mayor and Council for allowing us to come all this way in such a short time. And we are grateful that Mayor and Council continue to look for ways to continue to enhance our competitiveness when it comes to public safety personnel. But at this time, I'd like to ask if there's any questions based on what was just presented by Ms. Campos.
Yes, so I have questions regarding our metrics specifically for these 2 departments. I'm wondering, so there's a couple of metrics that I'm interested in looking at. Number 1 being our time to hire, right? So I know that recently we've had, I would actually like to see this across all our director positions. I do think that the amount of time that it takes us to hire is longer than average, specifically for those high-paying jobs. Those are, and I understand from working in HR that those are some of the most challenging things to fill, right? But I am interested in per position, wanting to know how long it takes us to hire.
Okay.
That's metric number 1. Metric number 2, I'm wondering what our retention rates look like. Specifically, I'd like to see those retention rates broken down by early, middle, and late part of the career. I think it gives us a better snapshot of understanding where our retention plan needs to go. Yeah, where our retention plan needs to go, right? Because and I've noticed you've broken down the presentation in stages, right? So the trainees that are barely coming in, we can specifically see that we've done already some work to impact that. The longevity pay, that's going to help our civil service workforce that is at the end of their career. I think that there's still a lot of work to be done in that middle part of the career. And, when I think about what's important to people in the middle part of their careers, I think one of the biggest things that's important is the opportunity for growth, right? I think you're looking at a lot of people that are around our age, right? And kind of like looking to kind of, that's the determining factor. I did notice the assignment pay, which I think is a really good place for us to start. I'm wondering if the assignment pay, does this apply, these are the only positions that are, because I know that there's other assignments. Does that fall on to certification pay, or what are maybe some things that we can add here to assignment pay that would make people want to stay longer in those middle parts of their career?
Yes, and I think that's a discussion that we need to have. I know as far as, I'm sure police and fire can speak a little more on specific assignments that they see that they're, going into, their staff is going into, that we can consider including in something like this for sure. We do have some other tools that I didn't have a chance, but I do want to look at. We do exit interviews, so I think that might also kind of help us see where we can improve. Why are people leaving? And then I do want to look at the turnover rates and going back into our report. So that is something that I do want to put together for you
Okay.
all. So I will definitely include that, because I agree, it does, it is all part of the retention plan and trying to see where we can better ourselves, of course.
And I think, I mean, I know that during the time that I've been on council, we've seen a lot of growth, and I think that this is a department that we've all been paying close attention to. I know that, for example, for what's important for me is, I mean, I have a lot of priorities that fall into this category, but one of them being the domestic violence unit, which I think that, you know, a lot of the progress that we've made, it's tangible progress that we can see. But I think maybe one thing to consider for us going into the next fiscal year is adding a little bit more of infrastructure to that department. I think right now we just currently are staffed by 2. Maybe we can look at different opportunities for growth, leadership, and development, and you know, possibly add maybe some leadership into that position as well to give people an opportunity to move up the ranks and also serve in something that they're interested in.
Right, right.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you for that.
Okay, so I'm going to pass it on to,
All right. Chief Gonzalez will now.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. All right, so we're going to talk about resolution item number 5, which is more if you go along the line to career development and building professional excellence. And I know that part of the resolution was to have respect for law enforcement or fire. And the number one step in our culture at our department is to make sure that everybody is considered a professional. And so those is one of the core pillars of our retention and recruitment strategy, is recognizing that police officers are not just employees, but that they are professionals. And by definition, a professional is someone who has undergone formal education and training, adheres to code of ethics, and continually seeks growth with their field. So just a little quick rundown. A peace officer, back when I went to the academy back in 19, throw it away, my hours were 500 hours when I went to the academy. Now they've increased the hours to about almost 800 hours for a peace officer for a person to become a peace officer. And that includes taking a state exam and being certified through the state of Texas. So number one is developing that culture within our department to say that we are hiring professionals in our department and keeping that narrative for the new officers that we're hiring. I know that Ms. Campos talked about certificate pay. You know, the city gave us certificate pay. Mayor and council voted on the certification pay, and that really increased our retention. And it also allowed our officers to become more aware of their training and how important it is. So you have basic, intermediate, advanced, and a master peace officer. In order for us to get to a master peace officer license, you literally have to have about 12 years in law enforcement, plus the hours, which is about 3,000 hours of continuing education. So in order for us to get to that ladder, which will give us up to the $600 a month, we have to put in 12 years of service and be able to submit the 3,000 hours through our TCO credit. So 3,000 hours is quite impressive if you're constantly continuing your education. Assignment pay, we do have motorcycle, canine, and senior police officer. And civil service allows us to have other assignment pay, which is like an FTO assignment pay while you're doing the FTO program. You get a certain assignment pay during that tenure. And so that's something that we've always worked with HR to try to accomplish those goals, to get that assignment pay so that the officers are compensated for the duties that they perform, extra duties that they perform. How do we recognize our officers? We have a recognition program promoting pride and professionalism. Every year we have a law enforcement week, and that year we always recognize officers of the year, SWAT, K-9, supervisor unit of the year, leadership, and we added the Chief's Award and the Captain's Award, which is our highest awards that you get and recognized within the city and the police department. So we believe in recognizing dedication, bravery, and outstanding service, and that boosts morale within the department. So we're creating that culture. We also recently created a policy effective June 17, 2025, where we formalized awards and citations policy. As you recall, in the last law enforcement week, we gave 5 officers the life-saving award. So they wear commendation bars in their uniform, and they wear that with pride. and they're being recognized by their peers and, of course, in front of the city. So that's something also to boost morale and give them a little bit of incentives to keep doing what they do out in the field. Our action plan on reducing turnover and strengthening department for the police department is obviously leadership development. In APPD, we're investing in our staff. We're sending our staff to training. For the past 6 months, we've sent our staff to over 44 trainings. We focused on our employees to get them to where they need to get with whatever division they pertain to, whether it be homicide investigation, family violence. We're training our officers to be efficient in whatever assignment they have. Our next step is to focus on our leadership team. We want to make sure that we are harvesting leadership and promoting transformational leadership mentality in our department. So we're just creating leaders, right? So we're making sure that everybody is a leader in our department, and so we're focusing on that. Our recruitment pipeline partnership, we have ongoing collaboration with the Southwest Texas College Law Enforcement. As y'all know, it's not a secret, myself and Lieutenant Barrientos are instructors for the Police Academy, so we have a shoe-in because we are actually looking at officers or people that are potential good hires in our department, and we're constantly promoting the Eagle Pass Police Department as a step for them to go in that direction if they want to stay home. So we promote the city of Eagle Pass and our police department regularly. And we do hire from the academy. Just recently, we hired about 10 from our police academy here in Eagle Pass, and the rest we're sending them to an academy in Del Rio because we want them to kind of know what environment they're going into. And we aggressively campaign recruitment via social media and career fairs. We do recruitment videos, we take TVs to the career fairs, we promote our recruitment, we promote our toys, we promote everything that we have to offer, including our pay, so that we can get these young individuals attracted to our department. We recently applied for the COPS hiring program through our grants, and this is to increase staff and utilize grants more efficiently so that our city doesn't feel the impact on the budget. So our COPS grant, basically, it allows you to hire police officers, and the city would only do a cash match to that, so we're requesting staffing through that, and we're in the process of that right now. Officer wellness and support, enhancing resilience, safety, and retention. We have mental health resources that we've tapped into. We have a joint peer support team along with the Eagle Pass Fire Department, where officers can go to their peers there in law enforcement in case they need emotional support. They promote mental resilience and early intervention. We have a physical fitness and wellness program that we're starting to establish. We have an on-site gym that we created, kind of like a CrossFit gym outside, where we were able to obtain a nice shed, and we were able to get a lot of equipment donated by the community and the officers themselves to be able to work out there and do their workouts before the shift or after the shift. And it's accessible at all times and encourages work-life balance and long-term physical sustainability. And the impact and retention to reduce, obviously, the burnouts and long-term injury risks, and the greater officer confidence and morale, and contributes a whole officer support model to foster career longevity. We also, in July, we're implementing a 12-hour schedule, which is something new that our department has never gone to. We've always been on the 8-hour schedule. So now we're doing 4 days on, 3 days off, starting in July. So that is a big incentive for officers wanting to come to work for our department. That was one of the key points for them to actually want to come and work for our department. We have equipment investments enhancing officer preparedness and mission readiness. In recent acquisitions, the city, along with grants, have purchased new patrol units to increase reliability. If you can see there, we've got the pickup trucks and the Tahoes and some nice Ford Explorers, ballistic helmets and rifle shields that we've gotten through grants. We've obtained 3 drones for our real-time crime unit. LPR systems, the license plate readers, also for real-time crime interdiction, very effective. New handheld radios, improved communication for inoperability, and new patrol rifles, so every officer carries a patrol rifle and is certified through our system. We just added a couple of photographs there so that you can see what we have. We also have the radios that we obtained through Middle Grand. We obtained the 3 mobile camera towers where we utilize in areas that are needed and if we don't have staffing available, then we place these cameras out there to be kind of like our extra eyes. We also obtain a Viking handheld x-ray machine, which is an x-ray machine that is portable. You can take it anywhere in x-ray vehicles, on the spot or on a traffic stop if our K-9 units need it. If you look here, this is what our gym looks like right now. We have 2 happy officers there. And you can see where they're working out at night and what it looks like during the day, but they take pride in the space that we provided for them. And again, you have a happy officer, you'll have a happy officer out in the field. Here we have the 2024 calls for service. If you can see here, our shift 3, which is our blue mark, is the highest throughout the whole year. We received a total of 28,554 calls in our department, which is, you can see where it spikes, and it's usually our 3 to 11 shift was our 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Here you have an average calls for service per officer in 2024. If you can see, we have a graph there that you can look at it if you can when you have some time, but if you see that, we have 84 calls for service on a shift 1, so every officer, we have 7 officers per shift. That's what the city has at any given point. 84 calls for service for a shift 1 is pretty heavy for an officer to have throughout a month. So a lot of these calls can range from motor vehicle accidents to extreme crime scenes. So the officer does have quite a workload. And the analysis focuses on call for service for the period of January through May, providing a direct comparison between 24 and 25. If you look at the comparisons we have here for 24 and 25, you can see that in January, on a shift 1, our calls increased. So our calls increase in certain months, and it just depends. It's not very accurate when it comes to the calls for service. But for the El Paso Police Department, we're trying our best to provide career development for our officers, to make sure that we're providing a space for them to learn, educate themselves, and promote within the ranks. We do have quite a few promotions coming, and so a lot of officers are looking forward to that. For, I believe, 4 positions, Ms. Cynthia. For corporal, we had about 12 people apply to try to promote to that position. So it shows that the culture is working, and the narrative that we're trying to push to make them be more professional. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Now we'll allow Chief Melo to touch on his department. Chief?
Kind of sabotage this right here, so I can't. No, we're good. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm the old guy here. Let me start off with the Eagle Pass Fire Department and highlight some of the achievements that we have in the fire department, including personnel, training, equipment, new protocols, and the goals for 2026. An introduction. This presentation focuses on the significant accomplishments of the fire department, fire marshal's office, emergency management center. It elaborates on personnel advancements, innovations, trainings, programs, equipment upgrades, and the implementation of new protocols. The aim is to outline our trajectory towards achieving our goals in 2026. One of the things that we did acquire is the emergency management division, so it's under the fire department, so we take care of most major emergencies here in the city of Eagle Pass. Fire marshal's division, well, of course, they do all of the investigations. They're the basically core of the fire department. Those are the guys that are doing our recruiting. Those are the guys that are out there doing our presentations for fire prevention and all of the inspections. Personnel, administration, of course, we've got the fire chief, we've got the assistant fire chief, emergency compliance officer, that's the emergency, or the EMS, the Emergency Medical Services Compliance Officer. That officer is a lieutenant right now. A way to create more advancement, we're gonna change that EMS Compliance Officer to a captain, so we can advance somebody else into the lieutenant's position that he covers and open up a position so he can have the help that he needs, because right now we're going into a lot of changes, very good positive changes, and I'll talk about it in a little bit. We do have the emergency management specialist and two administrative clerks. We just added one more administrative clerk to the fire marshal's office. In operation, we actually have 54 firefighters, 30 of them are EMT basics, 23 paramedics, and 5 EMRs, 9 advanced EMTs. Those are just below the paramedic. At the moment, we have 4 paramedic students that are graduating this summer or graduating in the summer of 2026. We also did budget so we could start another class and have 4 more personnel go through the paramedic course in the fall. The fire marshal's office has a fire marshal, 3 deputy fire marshals, and the administrative clerk that I mentioned before. The recognitions of outstanding employees. We celebrate the exceptional contributions of our designated personnel who consistently go above and beyond their duties. These individuals have shown exemplary performance, leadership, commitment to the service of our community, earning recognition both internally and externally. Personnel are highlighted after major incidents and throughout the year with our EMS and fire prevention weeks. So every year we have Fire Prevention Week. We have the EMS Week, and we celebrate. We buy them meals. We give them recognitions. And of course, we give them a little leeway, as you can see in some of the pictures where we have T-shirts where there's different days. There's Cowboy Day, there's Sports Day, there's stuff like that where they can wear a T-shirt for that particular day. Also, we recognize them. For the past 2 years, we've been recognizing them with the Life Safety Award, or Life Saving Award, I'm sorry. The Company Officer of the Year, Firefighter of the Year. Aside from Firefighter of the Year being celebrated within the city, we also celebrate them there. Exceptional Duty Medal, Distinguished Service, and Meritorious Conduct. And that we will be presenting very soon because we will be having our ceremony in a few weeks that'll be presenting our new paramedics, our new officers, and of course, everybody that will be getting an award or recognition. One thing that I do want to mention, in each and every major incident, all our firefighters are recognized by the fire chief. We go personally and recognize each and every one of them at the fire scene and before we leave. We make sure that these guys go home safe. This is done by myself and by the assistant fire chief, and we've made it a point to do that every time there's a major incident and sit down and talk with them and have a conversation about the incident itself. The promotions and retirements, this year we witnessed significant personal changes, including promotions that acknowledge individuals' hard work and retirement that honor years of dedicated service. These transitions not only impact our department's dynamic, but also pave the way for new leadership and fresh perspectives. Talking about assignment pay, we're also working on trying to get an individual that'll take over an assignment pay and taking care of our vehicles. That has helped tremendously. Right now, he's not under an assignment pay. He's just been working overtime, but we will want to get one personnel and designate him as an assignment pay so he can take care of our vehicles and save the city money. Community engagement initiatives. Our fire department has actively engaged with the community through various initiatives such as fire safety workshops, public demonstrations, school education programs, many events hosted by the fire department or with partnerships with other businesses. These efforts aim to strengthen our relationship with the community while promoting awareness, preparedness for emergencies, and just engaging with the community. 2024, we have hosted or participated in 115 events and spoke to 13,198 people. That includes senior citizens, students, and just people from other agencies and businesses. Training and equipment. Innovative training programs. We have implemented state-of-the-art training programs focused on enhancing the skills of our firefighters. These programs include advanced simulations, hands-on exercises, and ongoing education to ensure our team is always prepared for the challenges that they may face in the field. We have the fire inspector, the fire investigator, the plans examiner, the peace officer. We have CPR and ALS, active shooter incident management, wide area search training, UTV, driving course, whole blood academy. We also have other trainings that are particular, and I did put in a little pamphlet there with you because there's a whole bunch of trainings that we also have. And I would like to mention some of them. And by that, I need my glasses. So excuse me for that. So we've had active shooter training alongside with the various police departments and the City of Eagle Pass Police Department. Resilient strategies offered by TML. One thing that I do want to mention, and that is very important to me, Councilman Diaz has always supported us with this, mental health. We've had mental health training for our guys. We support the mental health initiatives. We do get to go out to incidents where our guys see things that sometimes we wish we hadn't seen. We did have a peer support training alongside with the Eagle Pass Police Department, but we also had other trainings that involved TEACs and other municipal trainings involving mental health. So we truly support that, and I thank you for that because we know that you care. We did train 13 officers in incident command interface, the introduction to ICS 100 and 200. We do a monthly night training sessions where we go out to vacant properties and work as simulated structure fires. And we also selected 9 personnel that will be part of the, and in the future, well, let me go back a little bit. We selected these 9 personnel. These 9 personnel will be trained on fire truck operations. So they're going to be driving the trucks and they're going to be assigned to that truck. Once they get done with that, we're going to hopefully implement that as a promotional thing for the future. So that way there's investment in our department itself. New equipment, well, I got to thank council for that. We've really come a long way from when I started. Recent investments in cutting-edge equipment have significantly improved our operational capabilities, from upgrading firefighting tools to advanced rescue vehicles. These acquisitions enable us to respond more effectively and efficiently to emergencies, ensure the safety of our personnel and the public. We acquired drones, an ambulance, 2 brush trucks, 4 pickup trucks, swift water rescue boat, 4 body cameras for the fire marshal's office, several tools for rescue, fire operations, and investigations, power stretchers. What power stretchers are actually the ambulance stretchers, which are powered. So we used to have, back in the day, a lot of back injuries. Now we don't have any back injuries because of the power loads that we have. So Once we got that, our injuries went down significantly. We did 2 stop the bleed kits and CPR mannequins. We brought those. We just acquired 5 ventilators, which are sitting in our station right now, and we're getting ready to train with those. As a matter of fact, we had a training yesterday, so we'll continue to train with those and implement them. We have body armor for the fire marshal's office, and that was acquired also. Safety protocol enhancements. We continuously review and enhance our safety protocols to align with industry best practices by integrating new guidelines into our operations. We not only safeguard our firefighters, but also improve emergency response outcomes, reducing risk during critical situations. Many new protocols include paramedic medication for airway management, bleeding control, cardiac distress, and chest decompression needles. One thing that I do have to mention, and I'm very proud of this, is that in the near future, we're going to have whole blood in our ambulances. When you have whole blood and you have a major incident where there's loss of blood, this saves lives. This significantly makes a big game changer for the fire department. And we're going to be training our guys so we can do a better enhancement into our EMS. In conclusion, in summary, the achievement highlighted reaffirm our commitment to excellence within the fire department by recognizing personnel, investing in training and equipment, and enhancing protocols. We are well positioned to meet our ambitious goals for 2026 and beyond. Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you very much. If there's any questions.
I do have a question. So on average, how long are your shifts?
That's a very good question. Our shifts are 24 on, 48 off. And I've been looking into the 48-96, which will give them 4 days off. They work 2 days, they rest 2 days off. In the past, we had it. It wasn't too successful. We used to work 48 hours. Within those 48 hours, you could see the deterioration in the stations. You could see the personnel were not really being that aggressive going towards ambulance calls and stuff like that because they were complaining they were being tired. I think this is a new generation. I've been looking into that. I've been working on getting a survey going with our personnel and see what they think. And that also will help in the retention. And it gives them 4 days. 4 days is a great time to be off and I guess replenish your body and help with mental health. So that's one thing that I would like to work on and see what response I get.
So, I mean, I think that's a good proposition. The reason I'm asking about the longevity of the shifts is, for example, right now we implemented wellness days. And a wellness day, if I'm not mistaken, is 8 hours, right? The majority of the shifts that we have throughout the entire city is 8 hours. But if 8 hours doesn't cover a full shift, if you're not feeling mentally well, or if there's just something going on with your wellness where you can't come in on Wednesday, for example, I don't think that that's going to change midpoint through your shift, or at this point, I don't know, it'll be one.
And I totally agree with that. How can I call in and only take 8 hours and then come back to the place that caused me to have a mental breakdown that day? I think that if we could work on getting a 24-hour wellness day and multiply it by 2 or 3 days, that would greatly help our guys. I truly believe that getting an 8-hour time off but it doesn't help these guys. Not even 12 hours would help them off.
Yeah, just to clear it, it is, right now it's 12 hours. It's not the full
It-
24, but it is 12.
It's 12 for civil service workforce?
For the firefighters that
firefighters,
work
it's 12.
those shifts, they get a 12-hour benefit. So they get to use 12 hours instead of like an 8-hour for a non-firefighter.
Okay.
Just,
Yes, that is correct.
So it would cover like current with
It covers
half a day?
shift. It covers half a shift. I think, you know, if you go out to an incident and you were overwhelmed, I think that 12 hours would not be enough for that person to replenish his mental health. I think a 24-hour shift would, because you're talking about that 24-hour shift plus those 2 other days that are off. That makes it 3 days that he's off, and then we'll give him enough time to replenish his mental health.
I think, I mean, it's something for us to look at in terms of equity, right? Like, if you have to show up for a shift, and I really want to drive the distinction between equity and equality, right? Because sometimes we think like, oh, well, that's not fair, right? Like, that's not fair to the other employees that have 8-hour shifts. But if a shift, if a full day a shift constitutes 24 hours, then I think maybe it might be worth exploring how that is different than, for example, somebody else's 8-hour day. Just because, and it doesn't even have to be something that happens at work. It might be marital issues, right? And so if you need to take a wellness day, but you're only able to take half a day, I mean, nothing's going to happen halfway through your shift that means all of a sudden you're well, right? And so I think maybe that's something to explore. I mean, I understand that it's a complex dynamic. It's also a complex rollout. But I think, you know, moving forward, I think that's maybe discussion that we can have regarding improvements. I do think that everybody is really happy with those wellness days, but I think maybe that would be a way to kind of improve
Thank you for
moving
that,
forward.
Councilman, and I agree. I mean, I think when somebody calls in for the day, they're calling in for their entire shift, right? And in these particular situations, that they have different hours, working hours, I can understand where it gets complex, but we can certainly take a look into that to make sure that as we move forward, we can add that equity that you mentioned, sir. So thank you. And I don't know if there's any other questions. As you can see, you know, we're grateful for the guidance that Mayor and Council have given us to get this far. And we look forward to working with, obviously, Mayor and Council now to continue to bring improvements, to continue to retain, continue to train, continue to recognize every member of our public safety team. And I want to commend Chief Melo and Chief Gonzalez for their hard work in getting this done, and of course, our HR director in making sure that we're always striving to become better. And with Mayor and Council's guidance, I think we can achieve that, and we're looking forward to seeing what other measures we can bring in to improve.
Just to clarify for HR, so are we competitive with pay right now?
with the pay
Yes.
rates, we're a lot closer. I believe some of you got to see where we were at in comparison. So we have gone closer. I know we're still working on that plan. That's where we left off, that this was one step in May to get closer for everyone. But that's something that we're working with administration to.
And I've talked
get
to
there.
administration for longevity pay, and Felix, I know, is going to hate me for this. We talked about doing 1,000 for every 10 years for longevity pay. We also talked about removing the 14-year step-up limit, and I know that we've talked about that already. And we want to do that across the board, just so you know, Mr. Valdez. That way, all staff members are getting closer to what they are supposed to get paid. right before you came in, we approved a two-step up. And what that happened was that we have steps, right? And we have up to 14 steps. After the 14th step, they don't qualify for the increase. Am I correct?
They have received it, though.
Well,
I mean,
but as opposed to, they get a different increase because council approves it, as opposed to the regular step that everybody would get, right? So it's lower. I think we gave 1%,
1.5.
1.5. So any veteran police officer, instead of getting the full, what's the regular one? 3?
It ranges from 3.5 to 1.5, depending where they're on the scale. So those at the
So the lowest
end of
scale-
that scale, they're getting 1.5.
Right, it's less. So in this case, we want to remove that scale. That way, anybody, no matter what year they're getting to, gets that increase,
Okay.
right? So if I think, I mean, it's great, and PD and Fire knows I'm all for helping you guys and supporting you guys in every way possible. But if we're gonna do this, I think we should implement stuff that's gonna overall impact all the staff.
Okay.
Bring everybody in, right? So to the resolution in this case, if we want to make a motion, I think make it
For everyone.
for everybody, right? I mean, and like I said, Felix is gonna hate me for this, but, and we also talked about the sick leave and the vacation days that we mentioned also, that we want to have them, use them, or get them paid out. And I know there's already a program like that, similar to it, but in this case where they can accumulate them, because we have some people that don't take days, right? Because they can't leave, they can't take vacation time, they can't leave their offices, or whatever the case may be, or maybe they just don't want to be at home and they'd rather be here, that's fine. But at the end, when you're about to retire, I think you have that option to cash in all those days you could have taken, or whatever they're worth, right? So you take a nice lump sum at the end. And I think that also would be part of retention. You know, you're building a little pot of luck in there, and then by the time you want to leave, you get to take all this bonus instead of you're like, well, you know, it doesn't matter, I'm not going to take anything from here, so might as well transfer to the county, or from here I'll transfer to the district, and, you know, some of the retirement plans sometimes intermingle. But in this case, well, you know what, it's not worth me leaving because they're offering me more here than they're offering another entity. And I think, you know, we've been looking back and forth on this, and I don't know if you all want to mention anything to this, but I think if we're going to do this compensation retention, we just do it across the board again.
Okay.
Please forgive me for my voice, but I agree. I feel that for our staff, we should do it across the board. But with these two particular agencies, I think we need to take into consideration the surrounding cities and other competing agencies. For example, I know fire department, we have our surrounding cities, right? But with police department, we have other law enforcement such as DPS that is just unmeasurable, that the difference, you know? And so I feel that to a certain extent, we need to incorporate that as well, so that I feel that the two-step, like across, I'm all for it. But at the same time, these agencies, you know, work around the clock, holidays, and all that should also be taken into consideration if possible.
And removing the steps that we have on there will actually help with that, because it'll allow them to increase their pay in comparison to other entities. So by removing that 14 years, it'll actually allow them to continue competing with other entities to be able to grow with them, if you want to call it or see it that way.
If we can get that accurate information, just to see like what it would do to remove that 14 for those departments, I would love to see that, please.
So would that look like, are we talking more like a fixed rate?
So
An annual
we would just take
or-
off, you know how we limit or we decrease the amount that we gave after 14? We would just not decrease, it just goes straight up equal with everybody.
Because towards that, since it's structured that way, towards that end, those last few steps, I can't remember if it's the last 3 steps or so, but they're all at that 1.5. So that's where we selected that rate, because that was what the others were getting. So they just kind of continued that route.
Right, and like I mentioned, it'd be just removing the step. It doesn't matter if you've been with us 1 year or you've been with us 30 years. You know, you still continue to get the same rate across the board. Not that after
So set a
Like a
fixed
fixed.
increase
fixed increase across the board.
across the board,
Right.
whether you're going from step 1 to step 2 or step 10 to step 11. Just
Right.
it'd be the same percentage for everyone across the board, and there'd be no cap.
And there'd be no cap, yes.
So we could, I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
I think that bringing up all staff, right? I think, I don't think anybody on council is opposed to addressing all staff concerns, right? I think specifically this resolution, it speaks specifically to public safety concerns and how we can improve the public safety of the city through the staff and retention plan, right? So I think when it comes particularly to this resolution, I know that at least for myself, right, these are two of the high priority areas that I think consider special attention. As I just brought up about, for example, the Wellness Day, right? That was something. Each year, I think we try to improve and we try to get better at whatever it is that we're doing. But there's, once we start to operationalize a new policy, we start to notice cracks in the system, right? I think that when it comes to staffing and retention, I think these two departments, they're complex. They're much more complex, as we just heard from Chief Mello. The rollout of a 4896 plan, it requires special thought and consideration, different to what we're giving to other things. I think the rollout of a step increase all across the board, I think that sounds like a good idea. But I think specifically for this, the exploring the complex dynamics of these two departments, I think it really warrants a different type of attention than what we're looking at all across the board.
Okay.
Do I entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Elias Diaz. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Jessica Ramon. Any discussions? All those in favor? Unanimous decision.
Mayor, just for clarification, we're approving as presented, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Item 6, consideration and possible approval of a resolution directing the city manager to engage with the Texas Department of Transportation on traffic infrastructure issues.
Yes, so good. Again, Mayor and Council, we do have our Public Works Director, Mr. Daniel Barra. This particular one, we currently do not have a presentation, but he's going to provide us just some input on what we're going to do to take care of this resolution.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Yes, so I was able to get a hold of Mr. Epi Gonzalez yesterday to discuss maybe putting up a meeting together. He did propose some dates for as soon as we can, next week, Thursday, July 3rd, or the following week, Monday or Tuesday, July 7th or 8th, respectively. And of course, we don't need to have an answer right now, but it's proposed dates to possibly meet and discuss the infrastructure questions that is hereby mayor.
And if I can, I would like to encourage Mayor and Council. We want to extend this invitation, especially to our new mayor and our new councilwoman, because I think this would be a very interactive meeting with our district engineer that can explain or answer any questions that y'all may have regarding some of the ongoing TxDOT projects or any proposed TxDOT projects coming into the future. Like Mr. Ibarra said, we do have some dates. We'll definitely share those with Mayor and Council and extend the invitation on what days work best to be able to meet and take care of what's included in this resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
But just to clarify, we had questioned that before, right?
Yes, so, and that's the reason why I mentioned, for our new members of council, that I believe, and I know it was before my time when when some of the projects that have been brought by TxDOT, have caused some concerns with the community, and I know they've brought up those concerns to the city. The city has made an effort, but at the same time, we understand that times change, and for us, I think it's always worth it giving it a try again to see what different input they can provide for us at that time. But to answer your question, sir, yes, we do have a really good relationship with TxDOT, so we are in constant communication with them. We do have frequent meetings with them to discuss any concerns that we have that the community brings to us, or any projects that they're bringing forward that can impact the city either in a negative or positive way.
Should they not allow us to remove, what's the second option that we have, Ivan?
We discussed about beautifying the medians, maybe possibly some landscaping. So that's also something that's being proposed by Councilman Garcia before. So we reach out to them because we noticed that other cities, they do have allowed to put trees or to put some landscaping. So I know besides one of the things besides the connectivity or the disruption of connectivity was also the aesthetics of it. So on the very least, we've been asking, what's the process to be able to provide some landscaping or to make it look nicer in some way?
Kind of like how they have it at Cantera and stuff like that, that they have the live oaks.
Yes.
That it's also the medians, but yet they at least look pretty. So kind of work around them should we not be able to remove them.
Thank you for that, sir.
Do I entertain a motion?
Motion.
Do we need action on this?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's at
You would
submit
just
an action.
approve the resolution and we go.
Motion by Councilman Garcia. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Elias Diaz. Discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Unanimous decision. Item number 7, consideration and possible approval of a resolution directing the city manager to advance affordable housing initiatives in the city of Eagle Pass.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We'll go ahead and allow Mr. Placido Madera, our Community Development Director, to present what initiatives we've done and what is also available that we can look into moving forward. Go ahead, Mr. Madera.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So this is a very interesting one, and I'll share the information at hand and hope to potentially get some additional guidance from Mayor and Council. But what is affordable housing? It's not even really a clear definition that is agreed upon by everyone. But the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, defines it as housing in which the occupants paying no more than 30% of their gross income for housing costs, including utilities. So not just the mortgage, not just the rent, but to actually live, which means the bills to keep that place livable. And then, of course, that what that means is it translates to having additional funds in your budget to be able to live, do other things, do other critical, spend on other critical areas. So I found this chart there from U.S. Department of Labor statistics page. And so it shows that the average household as of 2023, which is the most current I could find, was about 33% spent on housing. Looking at some local census data, and I noticed some of these same numbers on what Mr. Castillo showed earlier with transparency budgeting tools, but the median household income, the most recent available for our city, is about $55,000. Median value of owner-occupied housing units, $192,000. Median selected monthly owner costs with the mortgage, $1,600. And again, that number, $1,600, is basically looking at that same kind of definition we just talked about. Not just your mortgage or your rent, but your utility, what it costs you to have a livable home. So that's what the census data shows. I'll be honest, I think that's probably tough to find nowadays, a mortgage payment and be able to afford utilities at that rate. But anyway, I use the numbers available, so I divided that monthly cost of $1,626 by $4,579, which I got from just dividing the top number by 12 months to make it a monthly number. So our census data showing ours is at 36%. So 30% was the number defined as affordable, 33% was the average nationally, and locally we're at even a little bit higher than that at 36%. So I definitely agree, and I'm glad that this is a high priority for council. Housing affordability is a significant issue for us locally. A couple of the things that have been done in the past, creation of new residential zoning districts. This was done in 2020, a garden home, R5, and a R6, one-family dwelling district. Basically, kind of smaller lots were formed. And what this means generally is our zoning ordinance dictates the building requirements, building restrictions. So the typical ones that we see most often built currently are R2s. Some areas use an R1, and if you see in this table, on R1 zoning requires a minimum of 7,700 square feet per lot. A lot of the older areas of town use that. 50 feet wide by 150 is about a 7,500 foot lot. But nowadays, almost all the development we see is R2, and that allows a lot more flexibility of a smaller lot down to 5,500 square feet. So with the R5 and R6 that were built, well, specifically the R5, that allowed a new lot of as small as 4,500 square feet. So the smaller the lot, the more affordable, the more lots that a developer can do with the same amount of, let's say, 10 acres they want to develop. As a comparison, I looked at Laredo. Laredo, in recent years, adopted a lot size as small as 3,000, where they allow for single-family residential. So that's something we can consider as a city, is trying to find even more creative ways to allow smaller lot sizing. The other thing that's really plays a huge factor in affordability is not only the size of the lot, but then what you can build on it and how much. So we have setbacks, front yard setbacks, side yard setbacks, and rear, that determine how much of your lot you can build on. All the front setbacks for residential are 25 feet. So that means the first 25 feet of your lot, you cannot start building your house there. You have to move it back to at least 25 feet back. Typically, 5 is the minimum side setbacks, and then rear, as recent as about 2020, we had 25 feet rear setbacks also. So that means the first 25 and back 25, basically 50 feet of your lot you could not build on. So that means you need to buy and pay for a lot of lot that you cannot build house on. We did do reductions to that. R1, we reduced it to 20 feet, R2s to 16, as well as R3 duplex and apartments to 16 feet. So we made those moves a few years ago to allow more flexibility, allow smaller lot sizes, and to be able to either use more of your lot or be able to still build maybe the same size of house but on a smaller lot and comply with those setbacks. So those are a couple of things that have been done in the last couple of years. But there's many other things that can be done. I'll be honest, Austin, Texas is probably one of the biggest cities that I see doing very progressive, affordable housing initiatives. Some people maybe feel what they're doing is extreme, but that cost of living in that area got very high in recent years. And so they took maybe some extreme measures. But one of those, for example, is removing single-family dwelling districts. So, many of us may be living in a house in a neighborhood with a single family, so that only one house is allowed in all those lots, right? Austin made a move recent years, basically wiped that out and said, anywhere that we used to call it single family, you can now build up to 3 houses, 3 units on that lot. It doesn't matter if you were, new subdivision built last year, or you've been in a subdivision that's established 50 years and everybody's been in a single family. They just made it across the board up to 3 units, which was, again, one of those pretty big moves that, from what I've seen across the state of the country, that was one of the very significant ones. I think one that would work well here, and it seems very popular, is accessory dwelling units. ADUs is the acronym for that. Sometimes you could call it a guest house or an in-law suite in the back. Some people call it a granny flat. You can convert a garage into maybe a small rental unit, or maybe bring a family member that could live with you there. I think that would be one that wouldn't drastically change the characteristics and the kind of landscape of our community, There's several, especially in older neighborhoods. I think this was more common to have maybe a maid's quarters. They call them different things at that point. So there already are areas in town that have these type of, accessory dwelling units or secondary units on the site. Again, I mentioned smaller lot sizes. Reducing parking requirements is another big one I see nationally, different areas, different communities. Some are going very drastic and saying 0 parking requirements. Developer or builder, you decide what you want to do or what your customers or you need. So potentially somebody could build 0 parking. They could build maybe a new apartments and technically not provide a single parking space because that means their customers would or their tenants would figure it out, park wherever they find a spot. In some cities, there's more bus transit options, there's more bike lanes, more ways to safely get around on alternate transportation, scooters and whatnot, or walking. And so those type of reduction of parking or elimination maybe are more feasible in other areas than it is here right now. But just, wanting to make you aware that's what many areas are doing, is maybe not all eliminating, but at least reducing. So the less parking or space you have to allocate for parking, the more space for living, maybe a second unit. And so then you could potentially charge less rent if you have 3 units on a lot versus 2. Things like that could help with affordability. Also establish mixed-use zoning districts, and encouraging more mixed use in our area could potentially help with that. I see that many other cities too. You have businesses on the first floor usually, maybe second, third floors are apartments. So again, you're just maximizing and making more options. The more available housing units, the potential for lower costs could be there because there's a little bit, that supply and demand effect. Some things that the developers or the building community could potentially consider: developing more multifamily. We don't see too much multifamily development. We have seen a couple of nice new apartment complexes built in recent years, but in other cities you see neighborhoods or streets where all the homes are duplexes, or all the homes are triplexes, or even quad fourplexes. And so again, that means more density, more units, and usually that leads to more affordable options. But here locally, I haven't seen it in recent years where somebody builds a whole new street or new subdivision for that type. They're typically just doing single family. So developers could potentially help in that area. More mixed use projects. Again, we haven't started seeing too much of that here locally, but that could also help. Developing at larger scale. Now, I know this is difficult because that's little gigantic millions, many dollars, but you see in other communities, other cities, they'll do, Lennar, KB Homes, some of these big box builders, they'll come in and do 200, 300, 400 houses at a time. So when you're doing things at that kind of scale, you can lower the average cost of things and get things at a better rate. Smaller, more efficient homes. So again, if people build, some of the tiny home movement has gotten popular in the last decade. There's different ways to be very creative. There are some minimum housing size requirements by code, but you could definitely go much smaller than what the average is currently to find more affordable options. And then there's new materials and techniques. Also, I'm seeing in other areas, modular buildings, prefab, where the pieces come in and you sort of assemble it, so that saves a lot of time and effort on labor. 3D printed, there's even these machines. I think I saw recently a Starbucks was built out of a 3D printer. Small homes are being done with these too in other places. So there's different ways to also try to find reduction in costs. And then the other thing too is trying to continue working with our department on learning and researching our local building codes and international adopted codes. We spend a lot of time back and forth with our local builders with the review process and giving them comments on trying to bring their plans into compliance. And ideally, they brought in a perfectly compliant set of plans. They would save weeks, months sometimes. But we do our best to just explain as best we can the codes and show them how to get in compliance as quickly as we can. But again, that would also save a lot of time for them, which hopefully could reduce their costs and what they charge. So those are some of the big things that I've seen others do and that I think maybe could be done here. But again, I'd love to hear if you have other ideas for us to explore.
Thank you, Mr. Madero.
Thank you, Mr. Do I have a motion?
On this one, what kind of things do we want to eliminate? Necessary barriers to the development?
I believe that, if anything, he'd be the expert of it, just to bring, I mean, do we have barriers? Streamline the process, make it easier for the developers? Like you
Barriers
just
to
said.
development, I think we've made some pretty good progress on the development. I guess I have more data on that in the item, I believe it's 10, where building permits, where we've talked about streamlining things, using new technologies, new softwares, and things like that. So I may be able to better address that with some slides on that one, but barriers to affordability, we're in the affordability,
Yeah, for example, my concern is, I know we've been working to make quality homes, I guess, or maintain a good quality after what happened to some people's homes, right? That they started breaking or, cracking or whatever the case might be.
Yes, sir.
And we've implementing that and I would hate for us to go back, to those. So what I'm trying to say is, whatever you're gonna analyze, make sure that you're not putting at risk the people's houses. Because as you mentioned earlier, the average salary household is 56,000. Average house right now is about 300,000, so I wanna say that most of their paycheck goes to a house. So, I just make sure that they don't have to figure out how to come up with 20K to fix their houses, because the slab cracked or whatever the case might have been. I'm not saying don't work with developers, work with them, do what you need to do, find out what, has to be done, but just don't put people's houses at risk, just because we didn't do a testing or we didn't follow something just to make it easier for people.
I appreciate that comment and the support on that. Yeah, and I do plan to talk more on that in another item. I think it's 10. But yeah, safety and helping protect people's investments when they're spending so much money on these mortgages is a very, probably the top priority, protecting their safety and welfare. So, yeah, I think we will do our best to reduce barriers and create efficiencies, but not at the risk of safety or their.
Yeah. On number
public
two,
welfare.
you want to create a partnership strategy involving developers, housing nonprofits, local lenders, and government agencies to expand access. How do you go about in that?
So that's an area we haven't explored yet, but we can definitely reach out to local banks. We can talk to some of these agencies to see what synergies or partnerships we can do. That's an area I would need to learn about.
Can we do that? Where the city's gonna funnel or suggest lenders?
It's an area I'm not familiar with. I would need to see if any other cities are doing something like that, and maybe I can get the playbook from them, but that's not something I'm knowledgeable with.
Okay. If it's okay, and with everybody, to make a motion on this, I'd like to table this one for further discussion.
I mean, he's basically just gonna come up with an action plan.
Right, but we want it by next meeting, can you bring it up by next meeting?
We'll bring as much as we can find by then.
Or do you want further time for this?
If we could do our best, and if we don't have as much at that point, maybe we table at the next one and give more time to further research, but we'll do our best between now and then.
Okay. All right, well, tax abatements, how are you gonna go with tax abatements for developers?
That would really be, I think we need to kind of discuss with economic development. That's kind of giving to administrative and even council level to see maybe like apartments, higher density is where affordability really can come into play. So maybe we would do tax abatements for people to come in and do more multifamily, large-scale apartments.
Because I actually got a call from a person that leases houses and said that he would lower rent on people if you gave them a tax abatement. So,
For houses,
for houses that they rent. He said, hey, I mean, I'm not a developer, but I rent properties and I'll give a break on rent if they give me a tax abatement. So I said, okay.
that's another unique one. I haven't heard of a city doing that. Property tax abatement, I guess that would be, to be
Yeah.
able to lower their rent.
You're right.
Okay, that's creative one. We could look at to
You
see
know,
the
and-
possibility.
yeah,
I hadn't heard of that.
I got a call on that one. They're like, I'll lower rent. It's the same thing, you know, but reduce my taxes, okay. So, all right. Other than that, I think number 4, creating a campaign to assist and let people know what's going on. And then on HUD and TDHCA, I think those are great programs that I think if the city can support, that'd be great for the community, especially for those that are struggling to own their first home. All for it.
Do I entertain a motion? Motion by Councilman Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Jessica Ramon. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous decision. Item number 8, consideration and possible approval of a resolution directing the city manager to improve animal welfare and shelter operations.
Thank you for that, Mayor. For this item, we'll go ahead and pass it over to Chief Gonzalez so she can touch a little bit on what we've done with our existing animal facility and what plans we have as we move forward, and of course, open it up for guidance for Mayor and Council. Chief?
Good afternoon again, Council, Mayor. Here we have the UPass Police Department, resolution item number 18, the City Animal Shelter Operation Audit Overview. So for staffing levels on our animal control shelter, currently we have 4 full-time animal control officers, or we call them ACOs. And these officers manage animal intake, public service calls, enforcement, and they also handle shelter operations. If you can see, we're a 4-man team for that division, and they pretty much do it all. Currently, our facility conditions, we've made positive improvements. We've had exterior and interior aesthetic enhancements to improve public perception and morale. We've installed a mini-split AC system to maintain temperature control of animal welfare, and addition of a cleaning chemical dispensing system that we were able to obtain through Cintas for an improved sanitation and efficiency. This is what our facility currently looks like. Obviously, we have office space for our animal control officers. We have our dispensing system where we sanitize the kennels. We have the exterior of the building, and then we have, if you can see that, it's an indoor-outdoor building. Usually in the summer, we air ventilate the area, and in the winter, we cover the areas that are exposed for the winter. This facility was built in the early 2000s, and that is what we currently are operating with. If you look to our animal shelter operational audit overview, we have seasonal patterns where animals picked up and surrendered and carcasses picked up generally increase in colder months, specifically in 2024 and 25 show higher animal pickups in January and February on average. A significant spike in animal and carcass pickups also noted in September of October 2024. So the rise often correlates with the increased animal activity prepare for winter. We have environmental factors such as changing weather patterns, reduced natural food sources can lead to more strays, accidents, and obviously the fatalities in animals. And there you have a chart that has our reports where in 2024 and 2025 comparisons so that you can kind of look that over. Our animal shelter, the euthanasia practice, we have the shelter follows the state mandated guidelines for humane euthanasia, efforts made to reduce euthanasia through adoption events, rescue partnerships, and community outreach. The El Paso Police Department is committed to improving animal welfare through strategic phased efforts focused on long-term sustainability and community responsibility. And I do want to emphasize phased because it does take a while to improve our animal control facility from what it is now to where we want it to get to. our current shelter status and future vision. So the existing animal shelter functions primarily as an impound, not a true shelter. And I think that's where the confusion lies, is that the shelter focuses on rehoming, while an impound facility focuses on animal control and public safety. The shelter emphasizes on care and adoption. The impound facility focuses on enforcement and management. So the funding sources for a shelter would rely mostly on donations and, of course, adoption fees, where an impound facility relies on taxpayer dollars. The facility limitations impact long-term adoption efforts and humane housing. We are actively pursuing capital funding for construction of a modern, fully equipped animal shelter to better serve both the animals and the community. As I stated, we do have state-certified animal control officers where they do go to take a test with the state and get certified and are able to issue citations and enforce animal laws. A lot of people confuse that we are a rehabilitation shelter. We're not, because that requires extra funding to be able to bring in animals that need rehabilitative services or any type of services for that matter. So we want to transition to a no-kill model. Obviously, the goal would be to move forward to a no-kill shelter model through a phased approach. The short-term focus would be expanding rehoming efforts and limit euthanasia to cases of severe illness or aggression, because there are some animals that obviously will not be able to be rehabilitated to 100%, and they are aggressive and might likely need euthanasia. Long-term focus would increase capacity and staffing, build infrastructure that supports long-term housing and medical care. A community-wide spay-neuter initiatives. I know we had a meeting with Uvalde Center where they are obtaining a new animal control shelter. It's really beautiful. Believe their shelter was at $3.4 million, with donations obviously they received from a family in Uvalde. To launch a public spay and neuter clinic in partnership with veterinary groups and nonprofits, there are voucher programs that we can bring to our community, but it does take a community effort to establish this. So obviously we would need the community to take part in it and some assistance, with some volunteers to help us provide that service. And reduce stray animal population through education, access, and low-cost services, and explore options for mandatory spay-neuter ordinances for non-breeder or pet owners. Rescue partnerships, existing partnerships. Right now, we currently work with the Buddy Foundation, the Operation Border Rescue. And at one time, we were working with Texas Loving Pets, where they would come in, and we had some animals that were actually flown to New Jersey or New York to be rehabilitated and be sent over there to get adopted. These organizations assist with rehabilitation, transport, rehoming, and other animals across the state and country. But I do know that they are strained also with an overwhelming amount of strays that are in our community. So we expand network and rescue partners for faster turnover and better outcomes. The community outreach and education, develop a public education campaigns. We want to promote responsible pet ownership, importance on vaccinations and microchipping. We started a microchip program. It wasn't quite successful. We advertised it, but we got maybe about 30 people that wanted to microchip their animal, and it was free of charge. So we're fixing to have more clinics like that. And obviously, we want to make sure that we promote reporting any abuse or neglect. We want to host at schools, community presentations, and provide pet adoption events, maybe on Main Street or any facility that would allow us to have that. We have an ordinance development enforcement, working with our city attorney to finalize new ordinances. Ordinances will support accountability for pet owners, penalties for abandonment or neglect, and compliance with licensing and vaccination laws. I know that I've sat with our city attorney on multiple occasions regarding the chapters that we need to fix on animal control. And we still, it's a very big chapter, so that we really need to sit down and fine tune it. So it does take some time to review it and get it to where we need to for our community. And that's what we have for animal control.
Thank you very much, Chief. And I would like to say that I commend the Chief. The initiatives that she's established at the animal control facility have all been her being proactive and trying to improve and provide a better service for our furry friends, right? And we totally understand, and we see the need to improve our facility, and I can attest that I know Chief and her team are doing the best that they can to try to improve the current facility. But at some point in time, we have to make a decision as a city to make an investment in getting this shelter, right? And I think to Mr. Diaz's point earlier, as far as the projects are concerned, this is a project that we have seen on the CIP list for quite some time, and I think we need to make sure that we commit to bringing the facility, because with the facility, that will improve every other aspect as far as providing a better service for this type of service, right? So thank you, Chief, for making it work with what you have. But at the end of the day, achieving a lot of what's on this resolution does require that first step of making a significant investment. And also, this is a call to the community, right? We want to make sure that the community also gets involved in helping us achieve this, right? It's hard for the city to do everything, and a perfect example where the community and foundations can come together and accomplish this is Uvalde. I mean, we just went out there a few months ago, and they were able to acquire this $3.6 million facility through donations, through foundations, and obviously through the city. So, I want to take this opportunity to make a call to the community and to the foundations out there. Let's work together to make this happen and make it happen sooner rather than later, so we can start providing better services for our furry friends.
Yes, one of the things that I had suggested was opening that committee that's already been, there's a lot of interest within the community of nonprofits that want to be involved in helping our city with this situation that we're having.
Absolutely, sir. We can certainly get that looked at as soon as possible.
I couldn't agree more, Mayor, with the one we went to Uvalde. It's basically the volunteers and the foundations that are running the actual animal shelter, and allowing the animal control officers to do the enforcement part, so that we separate the two, where we do the impoundment, the enforcement, the actual rule following, and the actual foundations and volunteers are actually the ones running the actual shelter and doing the extra work. I think it's important that we separate the two so that it can be functional.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Chief. Do I entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Elias Diaz. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Mario Garcia. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous. We go to our ninth item in the agenda, consideration and possible approval of a resolution directing the city manager to develop a comprehensive senior wellness and support program.
So thank you, Mayor and Council. Once again, we'll go ahead and I know our library director is currently passing out her presentation, but she will go ahead and cover some of the initiatives that the city currently undertakes regarding our senior wellness and support program, and then we open it up for any guidance or recommendations from Mayor and Council on how we can improve this accordingly and according to the resolution presented.
So in building a comprehensive senior wellness and support program, I also provided you a summary of what the presentation is, and I'll make it short, to the point. So in support for the resolution directing the city manager to develop a comprehensive senior wellness and support program, the following outlines are current program success and vision for citywide impact. So the current program overview, we host between 23 to 26 seniors a week in 3 different programs at the San Luis Center. Weekly schedule is the arts and crafts meets on Mondays and Fridays, and we have a sewing and knitting class on Wednesdays, and these programs recently got extended, and they're from 9 to 12, 3 times a week, which the ladies had been pushing for, and they finally, it's a safe place for them, and they really enjoy their time there. The Texas, recently somebody have to say? Oh. So recently, we've made some partnerships with some of the agencies in Eagle Pass, and this right here, I only included 2 because those are the ones that are currently partnered with us, which is the Texas Department of State Health Services community garden, and they do the garden support, nutrition, education, and senior-led cookbook. What they did is they planted a community garden, and if you see, I think I provided a couple of pictures in the back. And so the ladies take turns during the week to water the plants, and it's a self-sustaining garden. They pick the vegetables from the garden, and they're creating recipes with these vegetables.
The slide, Ms. Chris, if you can just move it so that the public can also follow along.
Okay. So they're doing also a cookbook project. So they're doing the recipes and they're doing the cookbook project. And what this does, it's encouraging. The cookbook is based out of what the main lesson with the partnership is to control blood pressure, for high blood pressure. So the recipes encourage healthy eating and also for diabetes. And so every time that they meet, they discuss a recipe and what they can do and how it helps their health. Also, we do in the partnership, well, they're doing a cookbook that they'll all have a copy of at the end of the program. The other partnership is with MHP Salud and Digital Lift. And what they're doing is they're providing smartphone classes for the seniors, and they're helping them with their iPhones and their Androids. And well, this in turn encourages self-reliance, digital literacy, and healthier living. It also, they also in the past gave a bingo size class, and with the bingo size class, because a lot of these seniors, what they need in the research that we've done is exercise in their brain and mobility in their body. So when they do the bingo size, we all know our seniors love to play bingo. They do a game and they win prizes that the partnership that they provide, and they'll do an exercise. And some of them do them from their chairs, from where they're sitting, so nobody hurts themselves. But they're moving their bodies, and they like it. They really like it a lot. And so that was another one. So the vision for the expansion is to use the existing model to develop a comprehensive citywide program, include transportation support and access to more services, and expand interagency collaboration to support mental, physical, and emotional health, strengthen senior engagement across the city. So a lot of these programs, what they do is they stimulate the memory. It offers the weekly routine, so it gives them a sense of purpose. It prevents a feeling of isolation. It reduces stress. It fosters a sense of accomplishment and pride. So our program has already demonstrated that senior wellness is achievable through creativity, care, and connection. And with your continued support, we can build a model for senior wellness that serves all our elders. That's it.
Thank you for that, Ms. Chris.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I do want to commend you on your performance and involvement with the support hub. I do think that there's possibly an opportunity to incorporate this into our support hub initiatives to expand some of the services that you're already doing. One of them being maybe an outreach program to the nursing homes, since they are audiences that, they may not be able to otherwise participate in a library program.
Yes.
But we can send the kids out into those community programs as well. We are rolling out the Prospera Móvil, which is going to be doing specifically mobile health screenings. So we can set up a meeting with you.
Yes,
If you want to set up a schedule. We are looking for different target populations to be able to send out that mobile unit. And so if that's something that you're interested in rolling out, we can make a day of it, or we can figure out some kind of schedule
definitely.
where
And we're
it
always welcome. We're always
happens.
welcoming different agencies to come and do presentations and stuff. I know we've done in the past. We've done like for wills, last will and testament, and for things like that with what they're going to do with when they're gone, if they have plans. We've done that as well. We've also done. Right now, currently with this program, I know that every time that they go and they give the class for the garden, they also do their blood pressure, they check their sugar and things like that. So I would definitely love to partner up with a support hub on something like that. Definitely.
The Public Health Coalition.
Public Health Coalition. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chris. And yes, and just to echo that, that's our goal, right? We currently have this program, but thanks to this being brought before us, obviously we want to take ideas on how we can improve it. And it's not just about, keeping them entertained or giving them things to do, but also make sure that we're looking after their well-being at the same time, right? So I think it's a great initiative. And thank you very much, Ms. Chris, for continuing to do this. And we accept recommendations or suggestions from mayor and council as far as how we can continue to improve this through the community, and letting our community know that this is available, and they can reach out to the library if they want to participate in this.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
ma'am. Can I entertain a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Jessica Ramon. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Mario Garcia. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous decision. Consideration and possible approval of a resolution directing the city manager to reform and streamline the city's permitting and the development procedures.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. For this one, again, we'll go to our Community Development Director, Mr. Placido Madera. Mr. Madera.
Thank you. So this is one we have been putting in a lot of effort, but there's still a lot more work to be done. And so I'm very, glad to see it's a priority for mayor and council. And we, really look forward to continue working with you and the building community on improving our procedures and ways of getting development. So one thing I did want to start with, and Councilman Garcia already kind of beat me to the punch earlier, but our purpose, and I pulled this straight from our city website of our department, is to protect the general public health and welfare through fair and equitable administration of adopted codes in a manner which is responsive to the needs of our community and consistent with the department's duty of public service. But I think it's very clear to always remember what it starts with, and that's that we're here to protect the general public health and welfare. And so, talking about some of those issues that we've had, I think that's always at top of mind to make sure that people's safety and also that they're investing a lot of money in a home is hopefully going to be a good, long-lasting investment for them. Some of the things we've done in the past in the area of streamlining development. So we created a commercial development guide in 2023, and that basically tried to help compile a lot of the key ordinances, development requirements into one place. I know people have always asked me over the years, like, can't you just give us a cheat sheet or some quick tool that we'll know and we'll be able to follow? Well, our zoning ordinances is many pages long, building codes are many books long, and so I wish there was a way that I could consolidate hundreds and hundreds of pages into something easy for people to just follow and comply with. So we did our best to get all the key things that were maybe very commonly missed or commonly misinterpreted and try to make a guide to help for commercial development. And I believe it has helped quite a bit. We also created a building official position, and I'm very proud to say we recently filled it just in the last couple of months, in the last month. Finally found a qualified candidate to fill it. That I believe is going to be one of the biggest game changers for the development review process, inspections, concerns. Somebody will have basically a manager, supervisory level person for people to come and address their issues quickly and keep their projects hopefully moving along. Another one I'm excited about is our upgraded permit software. It's called SmartGov. We acquired that last year and have basically almost done now with a full rollout and getting it totally set up. It was a little bit more tedious, that implementation, than what we expected, but it's pretty much up and running. And we're at the stage now we're developing some guides to show people how to sign up for these online portals where they can apply for their permits, pay for their permits, check their status at any time, respond to us back and forth with any questions or comments. So that is now up and running, and we're just now developing the tools to help show the community how to get onto that system. We've been participating for some time on a fast track committee. It was composed of both local government officials from the city and county side, as well as private sector. And so we were basically looking at it, different angles and trying to make sure and address the concerns and questions that we had to make sure our system and our process was smooth. Digital plan review software, it's another one I'm excited about, called Bluebeam. That will make things a lot quicker. We have a review team for most things that we do, different experts. Fire marshal is an expert in their field, water works and water and sewer, the utilities look at their things, various people. And so before we had this tedious emailing and coordination and trying to keep up with everything. Now we have a new software that we just rolled out where everybody can collaborate online through a digital platform, and we all see each other's comments real time. As soon as all our comments are done, we send it or make it available for the applicants, and they can see those instantly and reply to us, and we can get plan reviews done much faster with that. Establish a platting process calendar. When the 30-day shot clock, when legislative changes came in that required we review plats in 30 days, we established a calendar that showed each key step of the way so people knew what to expect and when. Here's a screenshot. It just shows a little bit of some of the details of that SmartGov. It was purchased by this Granicus company, but talks about the streamlining of permitting process and having that citizen public portal, which I know were some key points on this resolution. I think those are very important, and glad that we have this rolled out for the community. Here's also a screenshot of that Bluebeam digital plan review. Allows people to mark them up, put their comments, point out specifically where their comment is referring to. So this is going to be also a game changer for us in doing our plan reviews. We have been busy. We try not to ever stay content. We're always looking at what we can do to get better, especially in this area, and just in general providing hopefully the community what they're looking for. So here's a listing of some of the things that we've been doing the last couple of years. We did a pavement design standards update. That was an update to the construction spec manual in 2024. That allows a couple different options and potentially beefed up the streets. Hopefully the streets will last longer before we see potholes and different deteriorations that were happening. Stormwater pollution prevention, we've seen a lot of areas that get mud and silt running off into the street. It's problematic in several different ways, but we now have an ordinance as of 2024 to help provide some guidelines for that. Master plan ordinance 2022, that it was a requirement that hopefully helps developers have their full plan in place and let our review team see the full plan so we can make sure there's good connectivity, make sure there's adequate utility services going to be available for future phases. So basically, if somebody's going to develop in phases, this requirement allowed us to ask to see the full plan up front, so we would know there would be no surprises coming later that could potentially cause issues. Administrative plat approval was something the council recently adopted. I think that's also going to really save a lot of time for developers in the platting process. We recently did a fee analysis. Landscape requirement ordinance, we did do a little bit of reduction there, specifically on the larger scale projects, to where we still feel we're getting a good amount of trees and shrubs, but not as much as the previous ordinance formula required. Master thoroughfare plan, we're getting pretty close to completing that, using a consultant to help us with this project. By next month, I think we'll be finalizing and bringing you that draft so you could see our master thoroughfare plan. It'll be the first time the city's had a master thoroughfare plan. Fence ordinance amendment 2023, we had some concerns and concerned citizens on fence requirements and limitations. A key thing about that, we now allow up to 8 feet high privacy fences, and we also allow now some front yard fencing options while still trying to protect visibility and safety. Parking stall reduction, it was 20 feet in depth long. We reduced that to 18 feet. That again allows those extra 2 feet. Every little bit matters. So it helped reduce a little bit of cost and give a little more flexibility to builders and developers. An aluminum and copper wiring issue we learned about from builders. We now allow more options for aluminum, which is a cheaper wiring method for construction. In 2022, we adopted 2018 ICC building codes. That's still one of the versions that's most popular throughout the state and country, but we are probably due now to start looking at updating to a newer code version. Unimproved, unpaved parking was another one we looked at, where that helps to regulate people from parking on their lawns or unpaved areas, and then tracking out mud and dirt out in the street. And then some other things we've reviewed. So those were some things that actually went through. We've reviewed several other things too, and are still open to more things. But definitely, council, please let us know specifics that you're looking at. But we've looked at mini storage, self-storage zoning requirements, utility easements, and being able to fence in the rear areas of properties, carports in front yards. That's another. Some of these are actually recent ones that we're looking at doing public workshops to get feedback, talk to the utilities that would be impacted, and then hopefully bring some recommendations to council soon. Used car lot zoning, mobile food establishment regulations, noise nuisances, parkland dedication, home occupations, temporary vendor and pop-up markets are. So we've stayed pretty busy. We're always looking at ways to improve, both in the building and development side and just in our general zoning ordinances and quality of life kind of initiatives for our community. So that concludes those details that we have to show, but we're definitely all ears if there's other ways that you think we should focus on to try to help streamline our processes.
And again, if I can just add, alike with finance and our city secretary department, we thank mayor and council for allowing us to invest in this software to continue to improve. It does take a lot of work to be able to change the processes how you had them before and then implement technology, because it kind of changes everything, and you have to get everyone adapted to not only the end users as far as the department, but also the customers, right? As far as the people that are requesting these permits. So I commend Mr. Madera that I know it's taken him a while to start to get these programs implemented, but we're very close to start rolling it out. Also, some of the processes that he's implemented or the changes in ordinances have been to improve the quality of the homes that are being created and make them safer. So I commend him for that as well. I know it's not an easy job, because a lot of people do see this department as an obstacle from them getting something done. But our main priority is to make sure that we're being safe, number one, and that we're building high quality. Whether it's a house or if it's a commercial building, we want to make sure that it's being built according to code and it's meeting all the safety standards. So again, thank you, Mr. Madera, and thank you to Mayor and Council for allowing us to invest and continue to improving this department as we move forward. And like Mr. Madera said, we encourage Mayor and Council's input as far as what else we can do to continue to improve the processes within this department.
Most definitely. And I honestly get to congratulate every department for all the information they presented today. And we really look forward to our plan of action in the following city council meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to.
Motion by Councilman Diaz. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Jessica Ramon. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous decision. Item 11, consideration and possible approval of a resolution appointing a member of Place 5 to the Ethics Review Commission of the City of Eagle Pass.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So this resolution is just to appoint one pending member. We are pending Place 5, which is the mayor's position, and this would be for a member for the Ethics Review Commission for a 2-year term ending on May the 6th, 2027. This individual will have to follow the rules, procedures, duties, and responsibility outlined in Chapter 2 Article 6 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Eagle Pass.
Okay,
And the requirement is someone who lives within the city limits.
okay. And this is, who has to make this recommendation? Me? Okay. Yes, I'll choose Isabel Perez.
Isabel Perez?
Do we
For
need-
the record, we'll be adding Ms. Isabel Perez for place 5 on the Ethics Review Commission for the City of Eagle Pass.
So is that his motion?
That's
Do
it,
you want
right?
your motion? Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Jessica Ramon. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous decision. Item 12, consideration and possible approval of resolution appointing member place 2 to the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Eagle Pass.
Mayor and council, for this resolution, we do need to replace our previous, of course, Mr. Valdez served as the position 2 for place 2 in the Planning and Zoning Commission. At this time, since he is now considered an ex-official, we had the need to replace him. So this one is for place 2. Mr. Councilman Diaz did provide a name for the record.
Yes, I'd like to, for the record, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Jesus Casas.
Motion by Councilman Diaz. Do I have a second? Oh, no, it says, is this appointing, right?
So
Okay,
it's-
yeah,
So we do
okay.
have to motion.
Second by Councilwoman
Second.
Jessica Ramon. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous decision. We'll go to item 13, consideration and possible approval of a resolution appointing an alternate member to the Zoning Board of Adjustments and Appeals of the City of Eagle Pass.
Mayor and council, for this resolution, we are pending one alternate member. It is the wishes of the planning department, the community development department, to have a full staff, just in case at one point one member is unable to attend, they can reach out to the alternates.
Yes, so I think sometimes they have trouble establishing quorum, and I think filling in all the alternates for this board will be helpful in making sure when important items need to be presented, that quorum can be established.
And this is just a general position, it's not for a specific place.
It's at large,
It's at
correct.
large.
This is at large, so any of you can make a recommendation and has to be approved by you all.
Okay.
And of course, the alternate member doesn't attend every meeting, it's just when needed, as needed.
As needed.
Motion to table.
Motion by Councilman
I'm sorry?
Garcia.
Motion to table.
To table.
Motion to table item? Okay.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Jessica Ramon. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous decision. Other business, consideration and possible approval of professional service agreement between Computer Information System and the Eagle Pass Police Department, and the purchase of 25 mobile data terminals in the amount not to exceed $232,025.
Yes, Mayor and Council. We had this item approved in this year's budget, so we're making a recommendation to proceed forward. The contract has already been finalized through our legal team, and basically, it would be to purchase 25 mobile data terminals. What these mobile data terminals do is that they provide a report management system inside the unit, and a computer-assisted dispatch software that they'll have in there. They'll be able to utilize dispatch inside the patrol cars, be able to do reports while in the patrol cars, and also use our new LPR systems. The LPR systems, which is our license plate readers, cannot be utilized unless we have a mobile data terminal attached to the unit. We've used this system for about 16 years already, and it's just time for us to upgrade into a new system.
Just a correction on the agenda item, the total is $235,025. So not 232,
Okay, so
What is it?
235,000. Right. 235.25.
235.
Okay. Motion, right? Or what
Yes,
is it?
and if you can also add to the motion allowing city manager to execute the agreement.
I don't know about that part.
Do I entertain a motion?
Motion to approve and allow city manager to execute contract.
Motion by Councilman Garcia. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Second by Councilwoman Jessica Ramon. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you, Mayor and
Unanimous
Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, now we have an item on executive session. It's item number 15, executive session pursuant to section 551.071 of chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney regarding the selection of outside legal counsel to proceed with the legal action against Just One Management LLC. Okay, and it's 7:59.
Or is it one vendor, Sophie?
Yes,
That it ended up,
yes, it only ended up being one vendor.
does anybody have any legal questions concerning this?
I was just going to inform you all that.
Do
We
we
don't
have
have to take it back.
to executive session? Oh,
If you all want to discuss it in open session, we can do that.
I have some legal questions.
You have legal questions?
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
And Henry for the pending lawsuit against Just One Management and any other related matter to the 57 South Music Festival.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilwoman Jessica Ramon. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Mario Garcia. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous decision. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Councilman Mario Garcia. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Jessica Ramon. All those in favor? Unanimous decision, and we have adjourned
Thank you.
at 7:15.
No.
It's 8:17.